I'm happy to be here. It's good to hear Jill's comments, and thank you, David. I want to talk about big data today because Jill alluded to it, and I want to talk about big data, what's happening in higher ed, but also in this trend of big data because it has implications for us. And also, when I'm standing up here at Data Privacy Day talking about how people are using big data, it's starting to feel like that riptide where we're talking about privacy and protecting information, while at the same time there's this big wave of the way people use information and the way people want information, especially organizations and businesses. So I'm going to talk about the big data, and I want to start with two concepts. Okay. Here we go. It's advancing here. There we go. All right. Thank you. First of all, data is currency, and data is a crop. So hang in with me for a minute on this. First of all, data is currency. There's a new economy out there, and it revolves around information and data. Data is a currency. All those free apps that you're using, Facebook, Google Search, a lot of these social media sites, they're free, right? They're getting data. It's valuable to them. Data is collected, data is sold, data is reaped. We're all looking for big data. So it's a new economy, people are looking for it, and it's exchangeable. Organizations like ours need to start looking at data as a crop. Data to be seeded, cultivated, harvested, and used to serve students better, to serve our employees better. Everybody's looking for this, but data is also out there. In addition to the data that you're collecting in your organization, we're looking for data sets outside, or disparate sets that can be hooked together to look at patterns and do the analysis and do the algorithms against it. What big data is, and this is my definition of it, but big data means there's lots of data sets out there in addition to the data sets that you have in your organization. So we've heard of MIS and data analysis and data analytics. The difference with big data is there is so much more information today because of how people are using social media and devices. These devices are changing the way people work. They're changing the way people think about their data. But we are leaving breadcrumbs of so many of our human activities through those devices. Now, for Data Privacy Day, I'm going to suggest that at least for those of you who have got all the warning signs and the voices in your head saying, you can't do this, or no way, or the laws will not provide for this, I'm going to ask that you suspend your disbelief just for about 20 minutes or so while I get this out. I'm going to talk to you about big data, but try to suspend that disbelief just for a little while. At the end, I'm going to ask you to renew that disbelief, and I'm going to give you the second half of my allocated 48 minutes to give me some reasons, things that we should be worried about. I'm going to talk about the promise of big data. I'm going to ask you to give us some feedback on the perils of big data and tie it all together. So with that suspended disbelief, we need to just start with the notion that they know us. All those devices, all those things that we're doing, we are leaving breadcrumbs everywhere. Let's just say someone wants to do an investigation of your life, or if you committed a crime. All that information is going to be available to these people, whatever they can get their hands on. They're going to be able to paint a picture of you. They know us. Privacy? Well, privacy is a very different thing today. I would suggest that you have very little privacy. Where's your privacy in the airport, at the border crossings, with all those GIS devices that are tracking where you go? Where's your privacy with banks and credit agencies? They know what you spend. They know what you spend on food, drink, consumables. I went to the bank the other day. You want to see a chart on what you've been spending on? It gives you a nice pie chart of all the things that you're spending your money on. Fascinating, isn't it? They know us. The government, healthcare agencies have lots of data and information on us. Wouldn't it be interesting if your physician could get access to what you eat and drink? That would be an interesting conversation, wouldn't it? Think of all the texts, the emails, the blogs and the tweets that people send. We are doing these things, telling people who, when, what, where. It's all out there, open, as an open book. All our searches, all our clicks, all our viewings online, our subscriptions, they're all out there and trackable. People are tracking what we do when we look on our web pages, when we look on our mobile devices. Think about this. The books today, our music, our movies, pictures and videos, we are storing them all in the cloud. Not everybody, but all these new services are rolling out. This trend is happening fast, it's continuous, and we're okay with it. Not only do they know what books I'm reading, they know which books I've started but haven't finished, which movies are in my queue. All these things are this is data that these services are collecting on us to help provide better services to us. And then when it comes to the apps and Facebook and all these applications of social media that we're using, we're saying we're using it all. So I would say that the notion that we have a degree of privacy is rather limited today. In fact, it's changing with the accept button. That accept button is changing the way we work around privacy and data and information. I have to tell you, as a consumer, I'm okay with that. I've hit the OK button. These are my 3 favorite social media sites or online services. Let's think about Amazon for a minute. When you go to Amazon, you feel welcomed. Hey, Dwight, welcome back. By the way, the last books you ordered, people are buying these books too. You might want to take a look at those. You know that rain jacket you've been looking at? It's in your wish list. It's on sale this week. Thank you, Amazon. Thank you. What a beautiful experience. With movies. You watch movies. First of all, you got all these movies coming to your house. Who would have thought? Pick your movies, watch them. If you finish them, give comments on them. Do you like it? Do you really like it? Do you dislike it? Netflix keeps coming to us with movies that we like. This is okay. I'm okay with that. Google Maps, I don't know exactly how long Google Maps has been around, but on the iPhone devices, I've been using it since I arrived at Nova Scotia, cycling around this beautiful province. When you go to Google Maps on your cell phone, it says, do you want to let us locate you? I said, please, because I'm lost. I want to know where I'm going. It's all right if you tell me where I am, because I want to get to where I'm going. And it tracks it for you. It's beautiful. I accept. And then we get into the search. You know, this is a rather mature technology now in terms of technologies advancing. When I go to search now, I started searching with Google. I stick it in my browser and put it up in the corner, and it's always there. But last year, they changed something. Now they tie, if I'm logged into my Google Mail account, I can use my maps, and they'll tell me the maps where I've been and all that, but now the searches are tied to my name. And at first, I was worried about that. I said, I've got to think about what I'm searching for. But now, since I've been doing this, I go online, and I'm reading the New York Times technology section. I've been searching for that rain jacket at MEC, and look what comes up. They know me. I was looking for a pair of shoes, nice pair of brown wingtips. There they are. And that Rolex Oyster Perpetual watch I'm lusting after, it's right there. They know me. I'm okay with this. At first I thought I wouldn't be, but I'm okay with that. They're serving us better. We are actively saying it's okay. Now, it's not just the social media. There's a lot of other sources of data that are coming out. And they're calling it the Internet of Things, or machine to machine. But think about bus locations and traffic routing and parking lots, the bane of some of our existence most days when we come to work. All these things can be sending and receiving data that give us patterns. Suppose, for instance, you could tell when the number 1 bus was coming up Roby Street. You can run out there when it's 2 blocks away and stand out there for a minute. That's service. You could be driving in from Lower Sackville, and you could get text alerts saying, the bridges are tight. You might want to take Highway 101 or 102. They'll give you alerts on your way to work so you can take the most expeditious way. And think of parking lots. Suppose you could get a text alert saying, there's 5 spots left at the Dalplex parking lot. It'd be okay. So there's a lot of it, but this doesn't have any human interaction. These are devices or sensors that are sending information up, it's being collected, and they're putting a view on it to serve you better. These services, by the way, can be provided by the Office of Sustainability, who also click here if you'd like to see bus passes on discounts or local bicycling routes to help you avoid the congestion altogether. Like us on Facebook. So, now let's talk about big data in higher ed. This is where it gets fun, because now I got to talk about stuff that we're actually thinking about. We have a project at the university underway today to implement a big data or an information system to serve our students and faculty better. We know that we're moving into a hyper-competitive era where students from Nova Scotia, the demographics are going down, competition for foreign students and other students in Canada is going up. We need to use our data more effectively at the university. I got a few notes on this one, I didn't want to miss them. Let's talk about the registration process. This is an annual, somewhat onerous process. Most students would probably agree. Think about Amazon for a minute. Suppose your registration experience, you log in and, hey, welcome back, Dwight. This is your first semester. Really welcome back. Here are a list of courses that you're eligible for. You don't have to go in and go through the catalog and find all the courses. Here's a list of them for you. Maybe you want to register for just one term. Click here to look at your four-year degree program. In fact, maybe we put a program together that students coming in and say, we're committed to a 4-year degree program. Here's the structure of it. They hit OK, and there it is. So you could see where you are in any one time in the big picture. As you're selecting courses, you move them over to the calendar. You move in a Biology 101 to Friday at 8 a.m., you might get a warning saying, hey, based on some of your preferences and what we heard from you before, are you sure that's a good idea? Maybe you want to move that to 1 o'clock. Move it right down. Beautiful experience. You want to work with students and get them to have a good experience here? We could use our information more effectively. Think about the classroom experience. I'm going to go back to that first year program, too. We bring in a lot of students, and we lose them after the first year. We're trying to figure out why. But when you look at enrollment, if you're bringing all these students here, and they're not having a positive experience, what can we do strategically to fix that? Think about the classroom now. Your classes would be somewhat hybridized. You'd have some in-class time and some online time. Me lecturing for 3 hours, that doesn't work anymore. I'll lecture in snippets. You read them online, or you look at them online. Here's some other materials. When you come to class, we're going to engage you. That's the flipped classroom model. No more lecture, no more sage on the stage. How do you take the information that we're giving you and synthesize it? That's the pedagogical model that's evolving. But now that you've got a lot more information online, Suppose you could match student success factors or grades tied to what they do online. You suddenly have clicks. You can see whether students have logged in, clicked on any materials, read a document, clicked beyond, followed some exercises. You've got data coming in. Now, all of it's little clicks and stuff, but together it starts to paint a picture. And if we're thinking about big data, we can say, hey, look, there's some patterns here. We're not worried about the individual so much as there's patterns. We're finding that students that take biology Friday mornings at 8 o'clock, they're not doing so well. Or we could look at students who just never log in. There should be some early warning signs right off the bat. We send a team of people to find them, find out what's going on. But you've got information now that you can act upon. And the more you do this, the more you might think of different other ways to get information. We revamped our web pages in the last few years. The team that's doing that, they've done a great job. But they're using Google Analytics now on every page that goes up. And we're seeing what people do. We don't care what you individually do. We look for patterns. We look to see if anybody follows the links that we put on the home page. In fact, all those links on that home page are there because there's data behind it. We don't just prop up pages because some office or service wants a web page anymore. That's the old way. We mimicked our web pages by our organizational structure, which meant absolutely nothing to most people who come to the university new every year. We're now putting web pages and data together based on what they're searching. The search analytics are fascinating. So you've got all this information, you're data-driven, and you can start putting information where people need it in ways that is understandable to them. Take it a little bit bigger, to Nova Scotia. Our demographics are going down. Everybody's worried about how we're going to sustain our universities and our college. Suppose for a minute that we shared some data. Suppose students in Nova Scotia, that we said that we want to keep as many of our students in Nova Scotia schools as possible. All right, that's our goal. If you're here and you're going to university or college, we want you to stay in Nova Scotia. In fact, we're going to have one application system. How about that? One schedule for all students. You apply, you select the schools that you'd like to be considered for, and that application goes in. That's flipping the whole model here, because we don't do that now. We have admissions processes that work for our respective universities. But if we want to shift that, we could use data to do that better. And if you can do it with admissions, think about what you could do if a student could start their career at CBU up in Sydney. Take 2 years and transfer those credits to Dalhousie or Acadia, or pick your school. That package will translate well. We've got reciprocity, but our data systems talk to one another. Then you can start looking at trends in terms of the bigger data. So there's all sorts of things you can do here. Think about parking. Suppose you come in to the Dalplex lot some morning, you drive up, your parking pass has your parking pass signals to the receiver at the gate, says, "Hi, Dwight, good morning. Hey, did you know that Tim's is having quarter off on double-doubles this morning?" And it lets you in. That's service. That's how big data is going to serve us better. We work a lot with social media. The communications and marketing group has some real good social media experts. I'm not one. I use the stuff, but sometimes I could take or leave it. But they're doing a great job. This is a report that we get once a month. It talks about our online profile, our digital footprint, so to speak. What's going on in Facebook? Who's getting likes? What's going on with Twitter? What are the word searches going on? All this is good information. This is data that we want to continue to use to look at mixing and matching, seeing about trends, etc. Now, this is where the shift in paradigm comes. And we struggle with this, especially with this project, because the higher ed culture, and I'm not just talking Dalhousie, the higher ed culture and the way we use information has been defined by the past 25 years. Right? It wasn't defined in an era of big data. It wasn't defined with mobile devices or apps or social media. It was evolved. So when we started collecting data and information in our big ERP systems, Banner, if that's when students applied, we protected that data. We said, apply to our school, we'll protect your data. And we've gotten so good at that. We've gotten so good at protecting the data that hardly any of it comes out. And a lot of people are frustrated. They don't get information. It doesn't work in an era of big data. So the paradigm shift for them is we need to free up our data more. Not abdicating our responsibilities for protecting sensitive private information, but we need to liberate our data so we can use it better internally, so we can mix it and match it with other sources of data. Another part of the paradigm shift is not all our data is going to be sitting here on our servers. There's more data out there. Some of it's coming from social media. Others are coming from hosted systems somewhere else. The role of IT, by the way, is going to shift. Less hardware, more data integration. We're going to need to put these data sets together. But it's going to be out in the cloud. We have to get comfortable with the cloud. And the third is the accept button. So this suspension of disbelief. Imagine, if you will, when students start at the university, we said, we value your privacy. And here are our policies on it. But we're here to serve you well. We want your experience at Dalhousie to be, we want you to learn, we want you to grow, and we want you to get out of here in 4 years, if that's your plan. And we're going to use data and information to serve you better in new and different ways. Accept or decline. Now that's a real shift, because before, or currently, our model is, we'll use your data and we're going to protect it. We got you covered. And the paradigm shift is, hey, wait a minute. I'm a student coming in today. I'd like to be responsible for my own data, thanks very much. I'd like to accept those services. I'm okay with that. If you're going to serve me better, I'll accept them. That's the paradigm shift. For most large organizations, there's a lot written on this. If you want to get in the big data game, you got to get your leaders involved. We have leadership at the top of our big data or our business intelligence project. 2 vice presidents are sponsoring this. We've got a lot of people looking at it. We've brought in some outside consultants, but the leaders know that if they want to get us to a place where we use data and information differently as a currency, as a crop, they need to lead us. There's no way that's going to happen without assertive leadership. Your governance structures need to change. Ours do. Right now, we've got data custodians. Those roles don't change. Those roles are still very valuable. But now you're going to start to see data flying at a higher level, and some of that data is going to come out. But the data and how we use it at the next level up requires a whole new set of governance and rules. And the only way we're going to be able to get there is to establish new governance procedures. Those governance procedures should be aligned to strategy. So if our strategy at Dalhousie is to increase enrollments for first years, or increase retention, or to make the university experience a 4-year degree in 4 years, those are the types of things that we'll start gathering information, using it, creating services, and wow factor to make those things happen. We need to cultivate more and harvest more information. We need to collect more information from our students, what they're doing, activities, like I said, the online stuff. We need more of it, not just the information that's sitting in our banner system. And that's the shift in thinking that needs to occur. Once you have all that information in various data sets, then you can start to mine it, analyze it, look for trends, look for patterns, search it. That's where the power of big data is, because we're getting tools now that are going to help us do these things, and people will, the data analyst experts are going to see some of these things starting to emerge. But that's the part about data mining that becomes so important in business and big data. And turn those into services. How can we serve students better, employees better, towards the goals of the university? This also requires a new talent. IBM just put a foothold into Nova Scotia. They're clearly saying, we're in the big data business. In fact, we're putting our center of excellence here. We're working with 5 different universities and a college on the data analytics curriculums. They're looking to grow and harvest data analysts. Same way we're growing and harvesting data analytics, we're going to be growing data analysts. Students out there, if you want to see a promising future with lots of opportunities, I would be looking at this. This is a big growth area. It's not just hype anymore, and it's not IT. This is not about IT. This is information for the organizations and what they do. So it requires a new thinking around the currency and the crop, and a lot of people asking, what if? What if we did some of these things? How could we serve better? Now, with that, the rest of the time is yours. I'm going to ask you to renew your disbelief. You can ask questions. I'd like to hear what some of your concerns are, and we'll take it from there.